LGB. 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 LGB.
They say LGB everywhere I go. LGB. What it means, I don't know. LGB. Whatever it is. LGB. Kamala, help me, please. Please.
Alrighty then.
Thank you. LGB.
That's let's go, Brandon, right?
LGB. This means let's go, Brandon. Go. LGB.
Sounds like let's go, Brandon, I guess.
LGB. All right. Let's go, Brandon.
I am Cornholio.
Chant. LGB. Right wing and left wing. LGB. Go, you know the thing. LGB. If you don't sing that back. LGB. And you ain't black. LGB. Let's go, Brandon. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
I'm Joe Biden, and I
Forgot
this message.
Greetings, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Reading Epic Threads. I'm your host, Patrick Gunnels, joining you from Houston, Texas, this January 17th, 2024 at 8:59 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I've got a short show for you today because I've got a ton of angel paste to take to the post office. And I just have to get back into the swing of things now that I'm back from the wonderful GART, wonderful Irvine, California. God, I love that place. I know that it's got a horrifying government, but the land is beautiful and the infrastructure still looks really good. So just bear that in mind when you call me a traitor for enjoying California, because I do have a lot of that going on and it's really freaking weird. All right, let's go ahead and begin. So today's piece is from James Delingpole. And it's going to make today a very short episode of Reading Epic Threads. I kind of have to get back up and running. Before you do anything, hit that thumbs up. And remember, this show is brought to you by Angel Paste. Angel Paste is the best lotion the world has ever known. It was invented by my sister Barbara as a way of minimizing scarring after surgery. It contains nothing your skin doesn't want. It's nothing but food-grade plant oils from top to bottom, no preservatives, no water, no drying agents of any kind, just a magnificent smoothie for your skin. It makes dead skin fall away. It makes age spots fade. It's causing freaking psoriasis and eczema to be dramatically ameliorated. It's being used to cure sunburns. It's being used as a hair conditioner, a shave balm. It's amazing, guys. Go to www.angelpaste.com. Use promo code Shapiro to pry $1 from my grasping hands. And if you get 3 or more bottles, you get free shipping. Angel Paste, your skin will drink it up. All right. So today's piece is called Some of the Cleverest People I Know Are Flat Earthers. From Delingpole.substack.com, Some of the Cleverest People I Know Are Flat Earthers by James Delingpole. Some people find it difficult to grasp the complexities of the debate between flat earthers and globeists. So to help you, I've devised a simple experiment you can conduct at home. 1, take a Kilner jar. 2, fill it with 100 red ants and 100 black ants. 3, shake the jar. 4, observe. Alternatively, you could perform an even simpler experiment like I did on my Telegram channel the other day. Just launch a new thread with the words, "Think it's about time we had a flat earth thread." You're all so strangely reticent on the subject. Having lit the touch paper, stand a good distance back and enjoy the fireworks. These fights are so much more enjoyable when you haven't yourself yet got a dog in them. They also afford a useful opportunity to assess the tone of the opposing sides. Quite often I find the way people make their points can be as instructive a tell as the actual substance of their arguments. If they come across as angry, indignant, defensive, vicious, or underhand, for example, it inclines me to think that their case isn't quite as strong as they pretend it to be. I first noticed this in my days fighting the climate wars. Back then, as now, come to think of it, there were only a handful of people publicly contradicting the official global warming narrative. Some were elderly scientists no longer dependent on academic tenure and therefore more inclined to speak their minds. Some were maverick journalists like myself and Christopher Booker, who weren't averse to being dismissed by people we despised as anti-science lunatics. Against us was arrayed a multi-billion dollar, now approaching multi-trillion dollar coalition of academics, politicians, activists, corporate rent seekers, teachers, celebrities, media whores, and so on, all pushing the green agenda. The imbalance of money, power, and media clout was so vast, you did rather wonder why they bothered to engage with us. Surely, if our skeptical arguments were so feeble and their science so cast iron, the more sensible thing would have been to ignore us completely. But they didn't. Instead, they devoted a chunk of their considerable resources to try to make us look like fools and to make our lives miserable. Skeptical scientists were denied the right to publish in any of the peer-reviewed journals, or in the case of Willie Soon, were pettifoggingly demoted by their university to a smaller, more remote office. Journalists like Booker were regularly reported to what was then known as the Press Complaints Commission and forced, laboriously and time-consumingly, to defend every true word they had written. In my own case, the BBC teamed up with Rockefeller-funded scientist Sir Paul Nurse and the Guardian newspaper to perform a hit job on me in the form of a Horizon documentary, partly disguised to show just how little I supposedly knew about climate science. Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody makes a claim against me, which I know to be ludicrously, risibly inaccurate, I don't waste a lot of energy worrying about it. The other day, for example, someone accused me on social media of being a high-level Freemason based on the fact that I had identified with Gawain and the Green Knight in one of my podcasts. This bothered me about as much as it would have done if someone had pointed out to my cat and said, "That's definitely a dog, that is." It's the kind of comment which elicits at most a bemused shrug of the shoulders, definitely not something that eats you up inside and has you plotting dire revenge against the perpetrator of this vile calumny. As with climate change denial, so with the flat Earth. Though I'm not yet at the point where I believe globe theory to be as big a pile of confected nonsense as I know man-made global warming theory to be, I've definitely noticed some similarities in the way their proponents behave. It is not enough for them to prove their opponent's arguments wrong using scientific argument. No, they must ridicule them, marginalize them, humiliate them, destroy them, crush them utterly. Now, why would anyone wish to do that to their opponent unless they considered them to be a threat? Let's give the globists the benefit of the doubt and assume that they are correct, that flat Earth theory is indeed a load of bollocks. What I'd like to ask them in this case is, what exactly is it that is so special about the globe Earth paradigm that makes them so passionately keen to defend it? Or, to put it another way, why, when they encounter a flat earther putting forward the flat earth case, don't they just respond in the same way as you two probably would? If someone claimed that our cat was a dog, why do they care so much about an issue on which, wherever the truth lies, isn't going to make the slightest impact on anyone's life? Most conspiracy theories, once accepted, have significant mental consequences. JFK and 9/11, for example, will change forever your understanding of the relationship between people and their government. False flags, like the Manchester Arena bombing, will make you sharply reconsider the nature of the war on terror. Death of Diana will stop you ever again feeling rosy towards the royal family. Paul is dead makes it almost impossible to enjoy, if you ever did, another Beatles song, and so on. Obviously, flat Earth has some consequences too. It means kissing goodbye to whatever respect you may have had for Galileo, Newton, Copernicus, Brian Cox, and even probably dear old Patrick Moore, the monocled astronomer, not the Greenpeace co-founder. You might feel like chucking out the antique globe that you used to like spinning around on your writing desk, or laughing scornfully every time you see the BBC's Globe logo. But these consequences, such as they are fairly minor ones. About the worst thing that could happen, and it does quite a lot, I fear, is that you might become a bit of a flat earth bore whenever you corner anyone you suspect of being susceptible to your theory. You're not going to become a different person, though, or any kind of menace to society, no more so at any rate than are subscribers to the myriad other conspiracy theories out there. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Flat Earth is just one conspiracy theory among many. Yet, for reasons I'm struggling to understand, it has been singled out as the ne plus ultra of deranged credulousness. And not just by normies, but even if social media chat is to be believed, by people who profess to be awake. Now, I can understand where the normies are coming from because I used to be one myself. But the awake anti-flat earthers, I do not understand at all, for their position strikes me as so utterly inimical to the state of being awake. To be awake, surely, is to have reached that point of understanding where you realize that anything and everything you have been taught about the world, from its science to its history to its very shape, is potentially a lie. To be awake, surely, also, is to adopt a degree of, I have been wrong in the past, so I might be wrong again, humility. But when I read supposedly awake people attacking flat earthers on social media and elsewhere, I'm not getting any of that judicious skepticism, still less any of that humility. What I'm getting instead is people acting like complete cocks. People making the kind of appeals to authority which any truly awake person should have learned to shun long ago. People behaving with exactly the sort of intolerance they so resent experiencing themselves from normies when they broach apparently more acceptable conspiracy theories like JFK or 9/11. Are they just being stupid or lazily hypocritical, or is there perhaps something more sinister going on here? The answer, I suspect, is a mixture of the three. Part of the problem is something I addressed in an earlier essay on the subject of the purple-pilled. That is, people who have taken the red pill but still want to keep one foot in the world of the blue-pilled, and who consequently are forever on the lookout for conspiracy theories they can dismiss out of hand, to show how rational and sensible they are, really. Flat Earth serves their purposes perfectly. Another is down to conditioning. Yes, of course, everyone who has gone down the rabbit hole imagines themselves to have escaped the matrix and freed their minds from the mental shackles, the propaganda, the psyops, and so on, which the system uses to control us. But every time I see someone wheel out variants on that tired old phrase, It's designed to discredit our cause and muddy the waters. I think to myself, how come you're so sure that you're not the one who's being played here? I may once have written an essay on this very phrase. If I didn't, I should have done. I think there's something lazy, secondhand, and intellectually dishonest about it. Too often, awake people use it without thinking, in much the same knee-jerk way normies do when they trot out phrases like Holocaust denier or conspiracy theorist. It smacks to me not of a considered response, but a Pavlovian one, like that of a dog who has been trained by the system to bark angrily every time he hears the boo phrase, flat earth. The person who uses the discredit our cause cliche wants you to know that he is nobody's fool. But what I tend to think when I hear it is, actually, you are somebody's fool. And that somebody is probably the person at one of the three-letter agencies who devised the discredit our cause trope and then inveigled it into awake groups everywhere. Sure, I recognize that flooding the zone with disinformation and inserting bad actors into the truth movement are both widely used tactics of the predator class. But it does not automatically follow that this is the case with flat Earth and the people propounding it, or not all of them. I've read globists claim, for example, that Eric Dubé, probably the world's go-to flat Earth apologist, is in fact a 33rd degree Freemason, an agent of the Illuminati. But even supposing it's true, that's not a refutation of his arguments. It's merely an ad hom. If our enemies are as devious as I think they are, it's entirely conceivable that they would infiltrate one of their own into our camp and have him say true things in order for these true things subsequently to be made to look untrue when he was finally outed as a wrong-un. Isn't that the point of Russell Brand, for example? My other big problem is with the "it discredits our cause" argument is that it's based on a false premise. It presupposes that the world is chock full of normies just itching to go down the rabbit hole but unable to do so because it would mean throwing in their lot with flat earthers. That's just not the case, is it? It's not flat Earth that puts them off, it's the whole shebang. To them, the very idea that their governments might conspire against them, stage false flags to frighten them, spray the skies to poison them, or force them to take jabs designed to kill and maim them is anathema. Scapegoating flat earthers doesn't help our cause. It just does the enemy's divide and rule work for them. You'll notice that I haven't yet addressed the substance of any of the flat earth arguments, pro or anti, but I'm not sure that at this stage it's necessary. The purpose of this article is not definitively to come down on one side or the other, more research needed, but merely to argue that there is more than sufficient justification for someone to be skeptical of the globe Earth paradigm without there necessarily being dismissed as a vexatious loon. If, as we know from experience, water always finds its level, why are our rivers and oceans not continually tumbling over the edge or flying off into space, as happens when you try whirling round a wet tennis ball? No doubt there are scientific answers to this conundrum. Of course there are. Science has had 500 years now to develop abstruse formulae to prop up what would otherwise be an extravagantly implausible concept. Perhaps Newton and co. are correct. But how many of the people regurgitating their explanations have checked the calculations? How many even understand them? Nullius in verba runs the motto of the Royal Society, the Freemasonic institution of which Newton was an early fellow and later president. It means take no man's word for it. A sound principle, especially for anyone with any pretense to considering themselves truly awake. Yet, it seems to me that most, if not all, of the people aggressively and dogmatically defending the globe Earth paradigm, are doing just that. They are contracting out their thinking to scientists whose science they totally trust for no better reason that they have been told to trust it by their corrupt, mendacious media, their satanic entertainment industry, and their misguided school teachers. It's a leap of faith, not a considered judgment. Maybe that leap of faith is justified, which is to say, I'm not yet discounting the possibility that the heliocentric globe Earth model that has been pushed on us for the last half millennium may indeed be an accurate reflection of our cosmology. But what I'm definitely not ruling out either is that the whole thing may be a pack of lies cooked up by a cabal of bad actors, including the Jesuits and the Freemasons, and using corrupt, complicit scientists promoted way above their station in order to mislead humanity as to the true nature of their God-created realm. Any awake person who refuses at least to countenance the second of these possibilities might just as well go back to sleep, because they're clearly not awake in any meaningful sense of the term. Anyone who has spent more than 5 minutes down the rabbit hole knows perfectly well that conspiracies didn't suddenly start happening with the JFK assassination. They go back millennia. Most of them involving the ancestors, they're very big on bloodlines, these people, of the predator class running and ruining the world today. It all connects. The fake moon landings and Elon Musk's probably fake satellite launches, all those fake Voyager missions to Mars and wherever may well just be a continuation of a psyop that began with Copernicus and Galileo. That psyop's aim, if this theory is correct, would be the usual satanic Luciferian one of subverting the biblical message that puts man at the very center of creation. This theory would also handily explain why our evil overlords, the rulers of the darkness of this world, as Ephesians 6 calls them, are so relentlessly keen on promoting the notion of an endless, ever-expanding universe, whether through Big Bang Theory invented by, quelle surprise, a Jesuit, or Star Trek devised by, quelle surprise, a Satanist. Clearly, if, as our evil overlords would have us believe, we humans are just insignificant specks on a vast spinning ball dwarfed by an unimaginably ginormous universe populated by aliens cleverer than we are, as they occasionally demonstrate by pulling us up with their tractor beams to give us anal probes, or by landing to make impressive patterns in our wheat fields, it makes a mockery of the Christian view that man is the apple of God's eye and created in his image. Of course, I appreciate that for most normies, even ones who think of themselves as Christians, this theory will sound far too crazily speculative, but for any even halfway awake person, comfortable, as well as all awake people must be, with the notion of spectacular, multi-generational conspiracies, such speculation ought to be no more than grist to the mill. Which is why, I have to say, I find myself not a little suspicious towards all those supposedly awake people I've encountered on internet chat rooms of late, dissing flat earthers. Some, I'm sure, may just be a bit slow and have failed to think through their position properly. But some, I very much fear, are bad actors there for one of two reasons. One, to sow division in an area of the truther community which they know to be particularly vulnerable, or two, because they know damn well that flat Earth is true. And they're on a mission to put the more lily-livered or unadventurous kind of awake person off the scent. Take your pick. And that is the incandescently brilliant James Delingpole. Go to delingpole.substack.com, delingpole.substack.com. Send him some money. Do a paid subscription if you have the means by which to do so. We are the news now, and we are not funded except by you. So if you please, let James Delingpole know that you appreciate his amazing work at delingpole.substack.com. You can let me know you appreciate my work by going to angelpaste.com and getting the best lotion the world has ever known. You put it on your face and dead skin tumbles right off. It's made of only food-grade plant oils made by patriots for patriots. Angelpaste.com, promo code Shapiro to pry $1 from my grasping hands. And if you get 3 or more bottles, you get free shipping. Angel Paste, your skin will drink it up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for your patience as I skipped a whole bunch of reading epic threads. My hotel room was wonderful in Irvine, but it's a hardwood floor or a imitation hardwood floor, something. Anyway, it's not a carpet, which means that the freaking acoustics were just awful. I mean, friggin' awful. So I couldn't bring myself to do very many reading epic threads in there. I've gotten kind of spoiled. This room has pretty darn good acoustics. When we look for another house, which we will be hopefully looking for sometime in the late 2024 region, 2025, early 2025, one of the criteria is we have to have a room in that house that is acoustically awesome, because this is what I do for a living. So anyway, thank you, everybody, for sitting through this. I'm going to be doing my audios of Seth Keschel and Brian Cates coming up for tomorrow. It's going to be fun. It's nice to get back into the swing of things. Let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.